Yeah, so Anthropic has very quietly launched their newest AI model, Opus 4.8, and that too just within the 41 days of Opus 4.7 was launched. Now, despite having four new features in this new model, Anthropic themselves are calling it as a modest upgrade. Now, why is that so? Plus, why some users, they are comparing it with Mythos and terming it as perhaps a mini Mythos version. So we are going to touch upon that as well. Plus, how ChatGPT still is able to beat this new model in one of the most crucial benchmarks with quite a big margin. So there is a lot of things to discuss. Plus, we are going to separate the hype from the real facts. What actually means for a general common user by this new release? Is it useful or not? And does it really make sense to launch a new model within such a short period of time? We are going to have a look at all these things. Plus, there is something more which I would discuss at the end. So let's have a go. Yeah, so before we move ahead to the four big features which have been included in this new model, making it something really special, we first need to know that Opus 4.8 is now available across all the platforms. It's available in Claude AI, both in web and the desktop versions, and you can access it through the API as well. Now, regarding the pricing, well, pricing has remained the same as that it was for Opus 4.7. It's $5 per a million input tokens and $25 per a million output tokens. But there is one thing related to pricing. There is a three times reduction in one of the pricing aspects that we are going to discuss a bit further in the video. Now, let's get to the four big features that we all need to know about this new release. So the first big thing that Anthropic is boasting about this new model is the honesty. Yes, they say that now this new model is more honest than any of their previous models. Yeah, though it sounds a bit funny and you expect honesty from all the AI models that you are using, but that's not the case. When you are using any kind of AI, there is a lot of chance that the output the model has given you, it contains some errors and the information is not correct. And instead of just giving you a prior warning or just letting you know about this, that there may be a chance of inconsistency or some error in this output, the model will just stubbornly put the response to you and you just accept it, and perhaps you are trusting this that the input and the output is totally correct. But that in the long run, that would cost you both in terms of time and money, when afterwards you find that the output was not correct and then you have to redo all that work and then come up again with the correct output. So now what Anthropic is saying, that this new model Opus 4.8 is 4.8 times less likely, yeah, again 4.8 times less likely to produce an error and keep going with it. It would just, what it would do, it would prompt the user that, like, I am not confident or I am not so sure about this situation. So then you will have to rethink, and then perhaps you would correct the thing, and something like any configuration or whatever you have to do, you will correct it there and then proceed towards the final output. So instead of just having a wrong output and the model not telling you about that, now the model will prompt you. You will then fix the issue that's on hand, and then of course the model will proceed to an accurate and perhaps the correct output. So this is really good because this would increase the trust level that a user has on the AI, because it's something really given. I would really expect any kind of AI that I'm using, it to be true, it to be honest, and it to be perfect. So this thing, it's really counts. And the next things, that's already really important, so let's get on to that. And the second big thing that Anthropic has launched into this version is the effort control. Yeah, if you were working on the Claude code, you would already be familiar with the effort control mechanism. But now for general Claude users across Claude AI like Claude Cowork and Design, now you can set the effort levels that the model puts in for your task. Yeah, so like you have now effort levels defined as low, medium, high, very high, like extra high, and the max levels. So depending on the complexity of your task, you can now calibrate the effort that the model would put in to solve the task of yours and come up with the output. So instead of wasting your tokens on something very simple and getting the cost really high, now you can tweak the model to perform at a low effort level. By default, Anthropic has set it to the high level, which it says is the best mix for both quality and accuracy. But again, it depends on your task. Like for very trivial tasks, very simple queries, and very simple kind of tasks, you can just set it to low or even medium. But on the other hand, if you have something really complex, you have some big research, you have some really kind of complex app development, and there is a lot of pre-context and pre-knowledge involved in it, then of course you need the higher levels, that the extra high or the max levels, and then let Claude do the rest for you. So this is something really again very important, and it kind of gives more control to the user. Like instead of being robbed for their tokens and just kind of hit by the limits, now you have the capability and the ability to set your own effort level that the model would put in for your queries. And of course this is a rich and a better optimized way of getting to your task and get things done in a more practical manner. Yeah, so this is something really good. And now equally good is the next feature, which I'm going to tell you now. Now, the third main thing about this new Opus 4.8 is the fast mode. What fast mode does is it lets run Claude at 2.5 times higher speed than the usual response rate. Yes, and that's really crucial in the real-time scenarios where either the volume is really high or the latency has to be really low. And that's true in the cases of like the agentic workflows. So what was happening earlier, that in the previous Opus tiers, the pricing was very high. That was like genuinely expensive. It was costing around $30 per million input tokens. And now, rightly so, Anthropic has reduced the price 3 times. Now they have brought it down to $10 per million input tokens. So that's a pretty big change. That's really, welcome change for the users. And the price is now really, a bit in control. But still, the funny thing is that GPT5.5 Codex is offering same thing at some even really less cost. Yeah, so even Anthropic has to work a bit further on that. Yeah, so knowing that, now we have the last and the fourth main thing that Anthropic has put in this new release. Let's have a look at that. So the fourth and the final new thing about Opus 4.8 is the dynamic workflows. Now what it does is that when you give a big coding task to Claude Code, it divides that task into subtasks, smaller tasks, and then it deploys numerous sub-agents with assigning each of those sub-agents those divided tasks. And then these sub-agents, they start to work in parallel. Instead of working sequentially from one task to another, all those sub-agents are now working in parallel on all those subtasks. Like one agent is doing the coding thing, one is doing the research, one is doing the testing, then one is then stitching up all those results and reporting back to the master controlling agent. So then the master agent, it relays the information back to the user. Now what you see is that the response time has been substantially decreased and the efficiency that has been many times increased. So this is something really good, and I hope that this feature will grow even further, because they said that they are testing it and they are making it even more perfect. So we'll see that how it shapes up. And now it's time that I tell you what I really feel about this and what are my final views about this. So despite all the new features in Opus 4.8, still it seems to be just an incremental upgrade, or rather a correction to Opus 4.7. Anthropic themselves have said that it's just a modest upgrade, and it's not a generational change like that we would see in Mythos, perhaps, which is going to be released now, but they just released this thing. So let's see what comes in Mythos, and let's hope that in the next incremental upgrade, we are going to see some actual real changes. Meanwhile, I would like you to share your opinion in the comments, what you feel about this. Does it make any change to the way you approach Claude or overall the AI workflow? Let me know in the comments.